In these next few lessons, what we're gonna do is dive into equipment. So let's first get started with the top 3 cameras for social media content. So like I mentioned, over these next few lessons and lectures, we're gonna talk about the best cameras, microphones, lighting, and software, all at 3 different price points. So the goal here is for you to either use the gear you already have and combine it with the techniques that we're gonna go into in these chapters. So if you have that squared away, you can either continue to follow along in these lessons to learn more about cameras, microphones, lighting, and software. Or if you're looking to purchase a new piece of equipment, then you'll use these lessons to choose the gear that best matches your price point and the type of content that you're gonna be shooting. So first up is the Lumix GH6. Now this is at the $1,800 price point, and this is the successor to the extremely popular GH5. Now some of the pros to this camera specifically are the huge range of video options that it has. It's unlimited recording times, which is really important for those shooting long form content like podcasts. It has really good image stability. It's relatively affordable for more of a professional level mirrorless camera. It also has a screen that you can angle and swivel, which is really handy for vlogging style shoots. And overall, it's just got a nice form factor and feels really solid in the hands. Some of the cons that I did want to mention are the autofocus isn't quite as good as, let's say, Canon or Sony, and it's a bit heavier and larger than the previous GH5, and some of its features are not fully available until you update all the firmwares, which shouldn't really be a huge reason to not purchase this camera, but I just wanted to mention some of those main points to keep in mind. Next up is the Sony ZV-1. Now this is great for vlogging, and it's a really lightweight and tiny design. So the image stabilization is really good with this one, and Sony really did an excellent job on just making a very entry-level, simple to use camera for vloggers and people wanting to shoot a lot of content while they're traveling. So some of my favorite things are the screen is very sharp, it's really bright, and it articulates, so you can move it out from its original place, which again makes it great for vlogging. And I wanted to mention that the autofocus is one of the standout features for this camera, especially compared to the more expensive GH6. Sony has really dialed in this feature. So with that said, some of the cons that I wanted to mention are it has kind of poor battery life. This one is well known for not having the best batteries. There is a bit of an overheating issue when you're shooting in 4K. This could potentially be fixed with firmware updates, but if that is an issue for you and you want to shoot more long form content, especially at 4K, let's say podcasts or longer interviews, I would not go with this specific camera. And there is no touch navigation on the screen, which is another one of a bit of a drawback. But as you can see with this example footage, the shots look amazing. They're clean, it's simple, the stabilization looks great, and it's just really an overall good camera when you are traveling and you want something very small and portable to use. Now the last camera that I wanted to mention on this list is the newest GoPro. Now this is a great all-around action camera. It's traditionally harder to get more cinematic images with a GoPro. All GoPros generally have a very GoPro look and aesthetic where you can pretty much tell that it's from a GoPro, but I will say they are getting better with time. They come with newer settings where you don't have to shoot all your content as wide angle footage. You can shoot it as medium or even telephoto these days with the newest GoPros. So some of the benefits I really like from this camera are the 5K at 60 frames per second is pretty sweet to have in such a small camera, which is another one of the pros. Just the form factor for this is so easy to throw in your bag while you're traveling. I wouldn't recommend it for trying to get very cinematic lighting with, let's say, a sit-down interview or a product shoot or an advertisement, but for adventure videos, obviously it has the waterproof capability that none of the other cameras on this list have. It also has the 4K at 120 frames per second, which is pretty damn cool because not many cameras, more cameras are starting to have that these days, but again, having it in such a small form factor is pretty great. The screen itself is completely touchscreen, and you can even have voice command support. That's a bit of an interesting bonus for that. So you can potentially use this for vlogging. You can potentially use this for some professional shoots, maybe. If you shoot it correctly in a really well-lit scenario. That's where GoPros excel and fail. If you have great lighting, this camera can get some pretty stunning footage, but if you're in a bit of a dark scenario or getting nighttime footage, I would not recommend this type of camera for your specific use case. So with that said, a few of the other cons are it's really not ideal for long form content, and one battery is not going to get you through too much shooting time. So you'll definitely want to purchase multiple batteries with this specific camera. So I put these three cameras together on this list to give you a good mix of different options for different shooting styles and different use cases at different price points. So with that said, let's get into the next video lesson.